Today we are going to learn about telling time in Thai, right? Telling time in Thai we callบอกเวลาบอกเวลา So time in Thai is เวลาเวลา and if you say o'clock, right? The word is โมงโมง So if you are asking for the time, you say กี่โมงกี่โมง What's the time now? ตอนนี้กี่โมง Okay, and we have our daytime, which is called กลางวัน Daytime we call กลางวัน Nighttime we call กลางคืนกลางคืน Okay, so let's look at the clock now, and let's say this is the daytime, right? You see the sun in the middle of the clock. Okay, if this is กลางวัน daytime, okay, and we are going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. In the morning, we call the period of time ตอนเช้าตอนเช้า morning. Okay, early afternoon, we call ตอนบ่ายตอนบ่าย Okay, บ่าย is a low tone บ่าย So around 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, we call ตอนบ่าย and the later part of the afternoon, or we can call it the evening, we call ตอนเย็นตอนเย็น right? So in the daytime, when the sky is bright, morning we call ตอนเช้า afternoon ตอนบ่าย and evening after 4 o'clock and after that will be called ตอนเย็นตอนเย็น Okay, yen is cooling, so ตอนเย็น means it's the cooler part of the afternoon. How about the night? Okay, so after ตอนเย็น right, we start at 6 p.m. in the evening. Okay, and that's when the sky starts to get darker. Okay, and in the evening we still call the night ตอนเย็น the early part of the evening ตอนเย็น and the late night, which is when most of the people are sleeping, we call ตอนกลางคืนตอนกลางคืน Okay, ตอนกลางคืน so this is the late night. Okay, let's look at the clock now, right? So remember, in the daytime, morning we call ตอนเช้า early afternoon ตอนบ่าย and evening ตอนเย็น so let's start from 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. in Thai we call 6โมง6โมง okay, 6 o'clock. Some people, they want to make it clear that it's the morning 6 p.m. so they say 6โมงเช้า6โมงเช้า because we can have 6 p.m. as well. So 6 a.m. is 6โมงเช้า then 7 p.m. 7 a.m. sorry 7 a.m. 7โมง or 7โมงเช้า okay, I put the เช้า in the bracket because you may not need to use the เช้า okay, some people they just say 7โมง and people will understand that it's in the morning, right? 8โมง9โมงเช้า10โมงเช้า11โมงเช้า and when you reach the noon, right, when the sun is high up in the sky, 12 p.m., right, 12 p.m. we call it เที่ยงเที่ยง okay, so after เที่ยง will be in the afternoon already, that is ตอนบ่าย right? So 1 p.m. in the afternoon, the Thai call it บ่ายโมงบ่ายโมง and 2 p.m. บ่ายสอง or บ่ายสองโมง okay, and then 3 p.m. บ่ายสาม so these three, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. we call them บ่าย something, okay? So of course 1 we can leave out the 1, so บ่าย1โมง seldom we have people saying that, but people will just say บ่ายโมง บ่ายโมง is 1, right? and then you have บ่ายสองบ่ายสาม and then we have สี่โมงเย็น because 4 p.m. is considered evening already, right? สี่โมงเย็นห้าโมงเย็น right? So this is the daytime, how we call the different timings in common Thai language, right? หกโมงเช้า in the morning, so you can add a เช้า to make yourself very clear that you're referring to the morning, right? เจ็ดโมงเช้าแปดโมงเช้าเก้าโมงเช้าสิบโมงเช้า11โมงเช้า and at noon we don't say 12โมงเช้า no more. At noon we call it เที่ยง right? So after เที่ยง will be บ่ายโมงบ่ายสองบ่ายสามบ่ายสี่ we also seldom say that because after 3 o'clock is no longer very บ่าย already. It has gone into the evening, the cooler part of the afternoon. So we call สี่โมงเย็นห้าโมงเย็น right? And then after ห้าโมงเย็น we have หกโมงเย็น. Okay, remember 6 p.m. we call หกโมงเย็น. Remember just now we said 6 a.m. What do we call that? Remember? It's หกโมงเช้า, right? Morning. So 6 p.m. we call หกโมงเย็น. Okay, and from here on, the timing will be a bit more special, and that's where we English speakers have to remember. From 7 p.m. onwards, right? They no longer call it เจ็ดโมง but they call it หนึ่งทุ่ม or ทุ่มหนึ่ง, right? 7 p.m. Okay, so 7 to 11 at night in the evening, they call it the ทุ่ม, right? So หนึ่งทุ่ม or ทุ่มหนึ่ง. 8 p.m. สองทุ่ม 9 p.m. สามทุ่ม 10 p.m. สี่ทุ่ม and 11 p.m. ห้าทุ่ม. Okay, so this is a very special part of the Thai clock that you have to remember because they count from 7 p.m. onwards as หนึ่งทุ่ม. Okay, of course some people they just say ทุ่ม, which is understood that is 1, right? And from then on 8 p.m. สองทุ่มสามทุ่มสี่ทุ่มห้าทุ่ม. And same when you hit 12, it is no longer called ทุ่ม, right? And what do we call it? At 12 midnight, okay, this is midnight, we call it เที่ยง, but it's not only เที่ยง but you have to say เที่ยงคืน เที่ยงคืน คืน is the night, okay? คืน คืน means night, so 12 midnight we call เที่ยงคืน. 12 noon we call just เที่ยง, right? Okay, and after that, in the witching hour when most people are asleep, 1 a.m. what do we call it? 1 a.m. in Thai we call ตีหนึ่ง. Okay, because after the midnight, how did the people tell the time in the olden days is they will beat a gong, right? So ตี means beat, B-E-A-T, yeah? So when it is 1 a.m., the person that is telling the time will hit the gong one time, right? So ตีหนึ่ง. And 2 a.m. ตีสอง. 3 a.m. ตีสาม. 4 a.m. ตีสี่. 5 a.m. ตีห้า. Okay, so the night clock is a bit more special for the Thais. So this is something that you need to take note of, right? In the earlier part of the evening, we have after หกโมงเย็น 7 p.m. ทุ่ม 8 p.m. สองทุ่ม 9 p.m. สามทุ่ม 10 p.m. สี่ทุ่ม 11 p.m. ห้าทุ่ม and the midnight we call เที่ยงคืน เที่ยงคืน. Okay, and after เที่ยงคืน, after the midnight, when we have 1 a.m., we call it ตีหนึ่ง ตีสอง ตีสาม ตีสี่ Ti ha. And after Ti ha, remember what? We go back to the daytime clock, which is 6 โมง ช้า. Okay, so this is how the Thai tell the time in the common language, spoken conversational language. Of course, there is another type of method which the Thais tell the time, which is the 24-hour clock. But the 24-hour clock is only used by formal reporting of time, like in the news, on TV, on the radio, or informal occasions, they will use the 24-hour clock. But the normal people, when they talk about the time, it is using this system. So I hope you will remember how to tell the time in Thai. Okay, so let me show you how to tell the time, especially if it's not just the o'clock. Okay, so just now I talked about the 24-hour clock. Okay, the clock or your watch, or sometimes o'clock. In Thai we call nalika. Okay, so if somebody say your watch is so pretty, they will say nalika สวยมาก, right? Nalika. So nalika can refer to the watch, or even the clock on the walls, or anything that tells the time, right? We call nalika. Okay, so the minutes we call nati. And if we talk about the time and it is at 30 minutes, okay, like 5:30, okay, we will say 5:30, okay. So the word for half is ครึ่ง. Okay, so let's look at the 24-hour time. Like I said, is a formal time telling. So you will say something nalika, something nati, right? So let's give an example. Let's say it is 18:00 hours, which is 6 p.m., right? 18:00 hours, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. in the normal timing, we call 6 โมง เย็น ใช่ไหม 6 โมง เย็น But if you tell the formal time, you just say 18 นาฬิกา So the first two numbers will be the number that you're telling for นาฬิกา 18 นาฬิกา. Okay, and how about, let's say it's 0830 hours. That is 8:30 in the morning, 8:30 a.m., right? So 8:30 a.m., our normal Thai time telling would be 8 โมง เช้า ครึ่ง Okay, ตอนเช้า 8 โมง ครึ่ง ก็ได้ right? But in the 24-hour formal timing, we say 8 นาฬิกา 30 นาที 8 นาฬิกา 30 นาที So the first two numbers would be the nalika, the second two number, the back two numbers would be the nati. Nati is minutes. Okay, one more. 19:25 hours, which is 7:25 p.m., right? ทุ่ม 25 นาที. Okay, that is how you tell the common time. 7 p.m. we call ทุ่ม, right? Remember ทุ่ม. And 25 is 25 นาที. So it's ทุ่ม 25 นาที. But in the formal 24-hour timing, we say 19 นาฬิกา 25 นาที. Right? 19 นาฬิกา 25 นาที. Right? So this is how you tell the formal time using the 24-hour timing. And it's much easier to remember for us as English speakers. But you also need to learn the common way of telling time, because a lot of conversations, when you speak to people, your friends, your Thai friends, they'll be using the normal clock. Okay, so let's practice some using the common or the conversational kind of time telling. So 8 o'clock in the morning, remember what we call that? That is 8 โมง เช้า 8 โมง เช้า. Okay, number 2, if it's 12:30 p.m., 12:30 p.m. we call เที่ยง ครึ่ง. Okay, so remember our half the 30 minutes. So if it's half, right, it is 30 minutes, we use ครึ่ง so 12:30 past noon, right, 30 minutes past noon, we call เที่ยงครึ่ง okay, one more, 4:25 p.m. alright, that is in the evening already, so it's 4 โมงเย็น25 นาที right, so when there is it is not at the o'clock, right, you have to tell the minutes as well, so 4 โมงเย็น is 4 p.m. 25 นาที the minutes. Okay, one more, 9:55 p.m. Okay, 9:55, if you remember, if you count, 7 p.m. is 1 ทุ่ม 8 p.m. is 2 ทุ่ม 9 p.m. is 3 ทุ่ม so 9:55 p.m. at night, we say 3 ทุ่ม 55 นาที right, and the last one, 2:45 a.m. that is when most people are sleeping. 2 a.m. remember what we call it? We call ตีสอง right, so this is ตีสอง45 นาที ตีสอง45 นาที right, so when you tell the common time, the first part of the timing, right, the hours, you will still need to use your 4 โมงเย็น or your ทุ่ม or your ตีสอง right, but the minutes at the back would be the same except for 30 will say ครึ่ง. Okay, so that's the examples I have to give you.